Look at the skylines of major Indian cities today, and you'll see a booming, modern economy driven by rapid growth in the tech and service industries. But step outside those urban centers, and the foundation of the country looks different. Millions of people are still working the earth by hand, much like they have for generations. This tracks the total wealth produced in India over 40 years. The service sector surged, overtaking agriculture to become the engine of India's GDP. But look at employment. While services generate the most money, agriculture still employs over half the workforce. The jobs didn't follow the money. We have a situation where the most lucrative part of the economy employs a tiny fraction of the people, leaving most of the population in the sector that produces the least wealth. To solve this paradox and see what it means for the average worker, we need to break the Indian economy down into its three fundamental building blocks. The first block is the primary sector. This covers any activity that relies directly on natural resources, like forestry, mining, or cultivating raw cotton directly from the soil. Those materials then move to the secondary sector. Here, natural products are manufactured into new forms. In this factory, cotton is spun into yarn and woven into textiles on an industrial scale. Finally, there is the tertiary sector. These activities don't produce physical goods on their own. Instead, they provide the services that support the entire process, like a freight network transporting finished garments or the banks that finance the trade. These aren't isolated silos, they are a connected chain. A disruption in the primary sector instantly chokes the raw materials needed for secondary factories, which leaves the tertiary transport networks sitting empty. A healthy economy requires goods to move through this chain, but as a nation develops, it also needs its workers to move through these sectors. In India, that movement stalled. Even though the service sector's economic output rose 14 times over a few decades, employment in that sector only grew by about 5 times. Factories and offices failed to generate enough new jobs to absorb the population. Let's look at what that macro failure means on a micro level. Imagine a farmer named Lakshmi. Her family relies on a tiny 2-hectare plot of land that is entirely dependent on the seasonal rain. All 5 family members work that plot every day. Their effort is divided, working far below their potential, a situation called disguised unemployment. If 2 move to a factory, the farm's yield stays the same. You simply don't need 5 people for that plot. Lakshmi's situation actually represents a massive nationwide crisis. Millions of Indian farmers are trapped in this exact cycle, absorbing the overflow of a workforce that other sectors failed to hire. Moving these redundant workers into other sectors increases total family income while keeping agricultural output stable. Because industrial and office jobs are so scarce, the sector itself only tells half the story. We also have to look at the quality of the jobs that do exist, which splits the economy into 2 worlds based on job security. The first is the organized sector. Workers like Kanta have regular hours, a fixed salary, and paid leave. Her workplace is registered with the government, so it must follow strict labor and safety laws. Compare that to the unorganized sector. Kamal operates a small street stall with no regular hours, no benefits, and a fluctuating income. Units here are scattered, largely outside government control, and often avoid labor laws. Kamal's situation is the norm for the vast majority of India's workforce. Because there is a shortage of organized jobs, millions are forced into low-paying, insecure work just to survive. A soaring national GDP driven by high-tech services offers little to the average citizen if that growth only creates a small number of secure jobs, leaving everyone else vulnerable. This leads to the final economic divide: ownership. Does an enterprise belong to the private sector or the public sector? The private sector is driven by profit. These companies naturally avoid expensive infrastructure or worker benefits that might hurt their bottom line. That is why the public sector, the government, must intervene. Its role is to provide basic welfare, fund the infrastructure companies won't touch, and enforce the laws that protect workers from exploitation. A developed economy depends on translating top-line growth into secure, organized work, effectively moving the population out of hidden unemployment.